You're listening to Spreaker Web Radio.
It's showtime, and you're listening to Florida Real Estate Radio, where you'll hear about what's relevant and where to find opportunities and solutions in Florida real estate. Right now, live in studio, here's your host, Brian Heckman.
Thanks so much for tuning in today. This is Brian Heckman coming in here from sunny Tampa, and I am so glad that you tuned in here today. But you're going to be really happy as well. We got some great topics we're going to be discussing today. What we did is we brought in a special guest for you, Shalosky, who is a very experienced real estate agent with Keller Williams Realty. And what she's going to talk with you about today are two things that not a lot of people are really talking about or discussing. Staging a home. You know, why is staging a home so important? What is it really, and what is it not? And then military transfers. What's the most important thing for veterans to keep in mind and remember in this whole process of buying a house? So, Kathy, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Brian. I'm thrilled to be here.
It is. It's an honor to have you, and I'm glad we can kind of like match up schedules so that it worked out. So, why don't we do this? Why don't we start by briefly sharing how and when you got into real estate,
Sure.
and then why is it that you stayed in real estate through the whole bubble burst and all that good stuff?
Well, I actually got in at the bubble burst. I've been in real estate for about 3 years. When I first got in, people thought I was crazy. You know, what are you getting in now for? You know, the foreclosures are taking over the market, everything bottomed out. But for me, it was a perfect opportunity to learn. I came in without any preconceived ideas of what a good real estate market was. I wasn't like some of the 20-year veterans who said, I'm not touching short sales, or I don't know difficult deals. And I just went out and did what I had to do. I learned what I had to learn to be successful in this market. So it served me very well, actually, to come in at that low point and set myself up for some great things that are happening right now.
Sure. So you probably don't have that saying of like, well, back in the good old days when things were really easy, right?
Yes. I've only got back in the bad old days now.
That's right. So just curious, so what made you get into real estate?
Well, I actually had an organizing and decorating business prior to getting into real estate. But I had a couple of back and neck injuries, some herniated discs, and my body said, no, I'm too old, can't do it. My niche was doing the work myself. So I would lay my own tile, do my own painting and finishes, hang moldings, anything anybody wanted done in the property. And I love that passion for it, but I can't do it physically anymore. So kind of a natural transition was getting into the housing market.
Gotcha.
And I've always been fascinated by it.
Makes sense. Well, good stuff. Thanks for sharing. I didn't know that about you. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. See what happens when you get on the radio? Stuff happens, right? That's great. So let's do this. Let's dive in to really the point of us bringing in here and us kind of talking today. So let's start staging a home, right? So which sounds like that's going to be, you got some phenomenal background with that. So what is that for people that maybe don't know, and why is it important? What's your thoughts on it?
Well, let me say first what it's not.
Great.
People have some ideas about what staging is, and they get a little afraid of it when we start talking about staging a home. They see dollar signs and they see a lot of work. It doesn't have to be that. Staging is not remodeling. It's not renovation. It's not even a total redecorating of the house. It's actually just presenting the home in the best light so that it appeals to the greatest number of buyers. And in doing that, you get a home sold much more quickly and for more money.
Gotcha. So that's right. That's the whole point. So what's funny is people want to sell their house as fast as possible for top dollar, bottom line, right? Whatever it takes.
Yeah.
So tell me about the staging then. How does the process work?
Well, we go in first and do an evaluation. We take the listing, then we'll go and we'll look through the house, walk through it with the homeowner, and talk about some things. Because a lot of times when you live in a place or in a space, you don't see things with that new eye. And so it's helpful to have somebody come in and look. And then we pick out the key areas. First of all, we want to make any repairs, things that are noticeable to a buyer that wants them to do. Because when they see something broken, even if it's something small and easy fix, they tend to overestimate what it's going to cost to do a repair.
Right.
And it also puts a question in their mind, raises a red flag. What else is wrong with this property? If they haven't maintained this well, what else is happening? So we go in and do a few things. We look for cracked tiles, for instance, because that will trigger somebody to think maybe there's a settling issue or a sinkhole issue where there's not. We're built on sand in Florida, so there's going to be some natural settling. Maybe a few cracked tiles, take care of those. If an AC is not cooling properly, if there's a broken window, if there's knobs broken off of it or taken off of a cabinet door, just simple things that you live with every day, but raise those red flags for buyers.
So it's a little more than just the HD TV version, which is come with couches and put all this nice,
Absolutely.
little tchotchkes laying around, but it's actually like the cosmetic stuff that can be done ahead of time.
Right, and that's part of it. But again, we want buyers to see it in the best light. So it's repairs, it's cleaning the house. We want to make it sparkle because even if a home is dated, if it's clean, it's much more appealing to a buyer. We want to declutter. I like to have a little saying instead of the traditional one man's treasure is another man's junk.
Right.
So we don't want people to come in and go, oh, what about all this stuff? It makes the room look smaller. So we declutter, we neutralize, and that may mean taking out your favorite purple room, but you may be painting it a neutral color. Because while it may look great for you, it's not always appealing to someone else. So we want to try to neutralize. And of course, there's always that ever-important curb appeal, first impression when you walk in a home. So we want the exterior to look inviting. We want to freshen up the mulch. We want to put in some flowering plants. Make sure everything's nice and clean. Maybe move door hardware if necessary. If it's old, paint the front door. You want to walk into the home. You want it to smell nice and feel open and light and bright.
Got it. Light and bright.
Light and bright are key.
Perfect. So how many properties would you say, like statistically, what percentage of houses do you typically go in and have to go through this process with? Or do you do it on all of them with just different degrees of
I do it on all of them, and again, it depends on the property. With some of them, you just, what we're talking about is space arrangement, what you were talking about. If you walk into a home and you run into it in the back of a sofa, then that doesn't give a clear, open feeling, the walkways. And so we may talk about just shifting some furniture around. We may have to go in and say, hey, you got to take down that awful wallpaper in the bathroom that's from 1964. Cost you a few $100, but buyers see it as $1,000 change.
So have you done away with any man caves yet?
We have done a little work on some man caves. Not done away with it completely, but we open the blinds, we paint a nice fresh color.
Right.
Maybe take the deer heads off the top.
That's great. You can do anything, just not my man cave.
That's right.
Very interesting. Well, good. So, how does that work? Do people, do the sellers pay for that as part of, how does all that work?
Well, in my case, they don't pay for anything. If you were to bring somebody in to do this for you, it could cost you several hundred, even thousands of dollars, depending on the situation. But of course, I've got the experience to be able to tell them what should be done to.
Oh wow! So that's just like part of what you do.
Marketing package.
Gotcha. Wow. Very cool. So let's talk about another subject that you're very experienced with is just military veterans.
Right.
So what would you say is a few of the most important things for military veterans as they're starting the home buying process?
Well, there are a couple things that we look at. It depends if they're veterans or if they're active duty coming in. My father and my husband were both career military men, both soldiers in the Army. And so I have a lot of experience in moving. I moved over 20 times in my lifetime. So I know what it's like to pick up and go, and I know what it's like to move by myself. And this happens a lot, especially these active duty guys coming in, men and women. The service member may be deployed, and the spouse may be doing this move on their own. They may need to have some special accommodations. They may not be there for closings. They've got to sign documents electronically, or we've got to find out ways to get things overseas to them. When they come in, they typically are on a pretty tight timeline. They don't have a lot of time to look for a new home. They've got a certain amount of time that they're given to stay in a local hotel or something while they look, but then they need to get moving because this, our soldiers and sailors in this area, they've got to be back on duty and ready to go and don't need to worry about what's happening, with the housing situation. So we try to really help them through that. There are some special programs available. Of course, VA loans are huge. Not everybody understands how those work, and of course, they can work with somebody like you to find out more about what they qualify for.
Right.
And there's 100% programs out there for vets. There's also some special incentives for vets as far as down payment assistance. So if they work with an agent who knows about the benefits and with a mortgage lender who is comfortable with working with those types of loans. I've seen them actually walk away with nothing, paying nothing at closing,
Right.
which is great.
It's unreal.
For them.
Yeah. It's we do a good bit of those, and it just there's really no better loan in the market. I mean, you're going to get a just ridiculously low rate, 30-year fixed, straightforward. I mean, there's really no better loan in the market for it's we should take care of our veterans. Absolutely take care of our military people. So that's great. So what would you say, in your experience right now, where the market is, what would you say is maybe like a couple of pitfalls for these military type deals? I mean, I'm assuming that one could be short sales that just take forever and they don't have time.
Right, absolutely. Short sales, they are a necessity in our market, but if somebody's on a short timeline, as far as making a purchase, I would steer in another direction. There are plenty of resales out there now, even a few bank-owned foreclosures still on the market that will move more quickly. But the short sales can take months and months to close, and not too many people have that time to sit back and wait to get moved in. These people want to be integrated into their new neighborhoods and get their kids in school.
Got it. Makes sense. So it's one of those, the deals are amazing, but the deals are only amazing if you can get them closed up and on the right time frame.
Right. Yeah.
So how long would you say that like people stay when you do a loan for a military person? I mean, I know they say like average 5 to 7 years people stay in a mortgage at least. And I don't know if people are really moving in 5 to 7 years anymore, but that used to be a statistic. What would you say for military people? What do you see as the time frame that they typically will stay?
It's much shorter.
Right.
It depends on the branch of service that they're in and the assignment that they're in. In this area, we're seeing certain branches, for instance, Air Force tends to stay a little longer. The Army soldiers tend to leave in about 3 years. Sometimes the Air Force will be up to 5. But that can vary. Sometimes it's as little as 2 years in this area. In some assignments, it'd be 1. A lot of times you don't see any purchases made then.
Right.
But in this area, probably 3 years would be average.
It's really good at seeing people that know they're going to be here for 3 years still want to buy, knowing that they're going to be selling in 3 years. I mean, I don't know what you see. We just see it seems like we have definitely hit some sort of bottom and like skyrocketed up in some areas where it's just over asking price is what you have to do to even get in consideration for a contract.
Sure, we're seeing multiple offers on lots of properties and seeing offers that are above list price. It's very competitive. If you get a house that's priced well and in great condition, it will not stay on the market. It's rare that something's on the market for more than 30 days.
Right.
If it's priced right and in good condition.
Gotcha. Well, let's do this. What's a good contact phone number and email address, or a website for people to get in contact with you with any of the stuff that they might have questions on, whether it's staging, getting ready to list, or military folks that might be looking at questions and information on buying? Where can they get a hold of you?
Sure, they can call me at 813-857-3196. That's my direct line. They can reach me by email at kshalosky@kw.com. That's KSHALOSKY@kw.com. Or my website, www.kathyshalosky.com.
Perfect. Well, we're kind of out of time now, so we're going to kind of wrap things up here. But thank you so much for being here.
I appreciate the opportunity. It was my pleasure.
Absolutely. It's always great having really knowledgeable people that are aggressive in the market and know what's going on. So this was fun. Let's do it again.
Yeah, let's do it.
Awesome. And so thank you all out there for listening to Florida Real Estate Radio, where you hear about what's relevant and where to find opportunities and solutions in Florida real estate right now. I'm your host, Brian Heckman, here with Kathy Shalosky. Remember that we're all in this together, so let's grow together. Have a great day.